Thank you. I'm happy to be here. What is this actually, and how can we put it into our own lives to get really great results? I have the amazing Taylor Carr. Thank you so much for having me. It is beautiful when you can be a woman who's open and loving and still smart and savvy and modern and classic and all these things, because the feminine is the all.
Hello, lovelies, and welcome back to the Modern Muse Diaries. I'm so excited. Today, I do not have my mic in front of me because I am in back-to-back-to-back calls, Mastermind sale calls today. And so I just wanted to come on here and make a relatively quick and to the point podcast that is informational and supportive and helpful. Because as a dating and love coach, I talk to women all day, every day. I speak to some men, and there are just a couple of things that come up time and time again that I think would make a really big difference in the love and dating world as a whole. And so this morning I wrote down 4 things that will heal your experience in dating and finding love. And the reason that I was kind of inspired to make this topic is because I had a past client who I just adore, and we're kind of maybe snuggling with the possibility of friendship. I'm a little bit weird with like moving clients into friendship. However, there are some people who have worked with me for so long and so many years that they just kind of do feel like my friends. Like we know each other so well. They're always in my world. They do so many of my programs and I just know them. And so there are people who just stay in my world, and these are the people I'm talking to all the time. Anyways, so she had sent me basically that she and a guy that she was going to have a date with, when she flew into the city that she was flying into, she sent me some screenshots of what feels like a massive miscommunication between her and this guy. And he was using a lot of therapy language and very evolved language, but so was she. And there was still so much miscommunication and mismatched like connection styles, I'll say. Like they were both seeking connection, but he kind of really wanted to like mansplain to her in an intelligent way and communicate to her basically that she's avoidant and that she's wrong for the reaction that she had had to him. So she flew in. She is looking for apartments in this new city. She's thinking about moving, so she moved her dating app to this city. And he basically had said that he was planning a whole date and that he would be the one to pick her up from the airport as part of the date, and then they would continue to go on the date he was planning. So she hadn't prepared, like renting a car. She hadn't prepared anything like that because he had said, I will come pick you up and I'll make sure that you get from the airport safely. And they had been talking long enough back and forth to where she felt safe with that. She felt good about that decision. And then kind of like last minute, he was like, oh, I don't really want to pick you up anymore. Can you just take an Uber from the airport to this town that I live in, which is about an hour and a half away, depending on traffic. And then, I'll just meet up with you later. And she had paid for her own flight to come out. She had paid for her own hotel room. She was paying for her whole trip. And he was going to pick her up from the airport and take her on the date. But she wasn't just like delivering herself on a silver platter for this guy. And he continued to basically mansplain her that she was avoidant and that she's not communicating. And she was saying, listen, like there's a lot of things that would make me feel a lot safer than you sort of going like, hey, I'm not going to pick you up. I'm not going to do anything. Can you just do it yourself? And he was saying like, well, I don't know you, so why should I do that? But in a very like, they were speaking very nicely. They were speaking intelligently, but just totally missing connection. And she didn't feel the want, need, desire to continue to try to over explain to him why this just didn't feel good for her. And he kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So that's what kind of inspired me, because they sound like 2 good people. I know she's a great woman and he sounded like a good person, but just completely mismatched connection and communication styles. And there's a level of defensiveness that comes up because of the way that the dating world feels right now. And I completely understand that. I understand how men feel. They feel taken advantage of. And I know that women feel unsafe. And Unsafe in a lot of different ways, not just physically unsafe, but unsafe in the way of like, there are so many levels to being a man who makes a woman feel safe. And we're looking for all of those levels because we want to make sure at this time, now that we're far more educated in the topic of long-term relationships and what marriage has actually meant in the past, particularly for women, and the basically slavery that's come with it, and then the emotional labor that's come with it, women are wanting to make sure that they're choosing capable men who will show up. And it's just really challenging. So I wanted to talk to you about the 4 ways that if we clean these things up in the dating world, then the dating world will just be safer all the way around and for everybody. And it starts with you. It starts with you being the ripple into the world that you want to see in love. And that's how I move about the world. That's why I've gotten such amazing results in love. That's why my clients get amazing results in love. And so the first one is emotional maturity. Emotional maturity, emotional maturity. This is something that everywhere I look, people are moving with therapy language and like they have emotional maturity, but it's not, right? It might be intelligence, but I don't know that it's emotional maturity. And emotional maturity means being willing to find connection with people and being mature about the way that we move throughout those connections. Let's pull up the exact definition of emotional maturity and read it, because I think that will be helpful. Okay, emotional maturity is the ability to understand, manage, and express emotions in a healthy and constructive way. It involves self-awareness, emotional resilience, and the capacity to handle stress and conflict thoughtfully without being overwhelmed. This skill set allows for personal growth and the development of strong, empathetic relationships. And I really like how it says in a healthy and constructive way, because what I saw in those text messages were healthy ways of communicating and conversation, but I did not see the constructive way. They completely missed the opportunity to connect deeper because he got very defensive and wanted to explain to her all the reasons why she was wrong rather than understanding why she might feel the way that she feels. So the more emotional maturity we have, the more we're also going to see jealousy dissolving in relationships, the more we're going to see trust kicking in with people that we can actually trust, right? The more we will see healthy boundaries being set and respected, right? I think a lot of people are good at setting boundaries these days, even though I think people are setting very rigid boundaries these days, which we don't want to be too rigid in our boundary setting. It's better to be healthy rather than rigid or porous. And they're not as good at receiving boundaries, right? Like, oh, I can set a boundary, but when someone sets a boundary with me, I get offended, right? I don't feel good about this boundary because they're attacking me, or they're not listening to me, or they're not hearing me, or they're not understanding me. We've become very me-centric, and in order to have healthy relational dynamics, we cannot be as me-centric. We get to be us-centric. And I think when we are tapping into relationships from a place of emotional maturity, we get to understand that relationships are not just about love. It's not just an emotional experience. That's how we end up divorced. That's how we end up separating at year 2 of every relationship we've been in, is because we think it's just emotional and it's just love, and we don't have the emotional maturity and the awareness to understand what a long-term relationship actually requires. And what I think is interesting about the texts he was sending to my former client was basically all these things about what healthy relationships are. And you ask anyone who's been in a healthy marriage for a long time, and they'll tell you this, but he was completely missing what she was saying about like feeling safe and seeing that you can handle this and take care of this and show up for me in this way. And so emotional maturity is so important in relationships. Relationships are not just about love and love and feelings and emotions. Long-term relationships are holding a mirror up to you and forcing you to look back at you and where you might be unhealed, unprocessed, and to clean that up rather than to look away, right? And so many of us would rather look away and make the other person wrong than actually bring the attention and the awareness inward. Let's look at my number 2 here. Feeling your fear of intimacy is the second thing that I've written here today. The way that everybody has a fear of intimacy, so that everyone has a fear of connecting deeper because we're all afraid we're choosing the wrong person. And the truth is, You might be choosing the wrong person, but you will never know that until you allow yourself to be a bit more vulnerable. You allow yourself to be seen and witnessed truly for who you are and stop wearing the masks that we put on to get someone's attention, to make someone like us. The early dating mask is what I call it. We can all have a mask on for 3 to 6 months, and then that a mask starts to come down, and then we get confused about the person that we're sitting in front of and like, who is this person that I chose 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago? I don't recognize this. If I had $1 for every time a woman has said to me, but he wasn't like this in the beginning, I would be a very, 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 very rich woman, because everybody wants to talk about how somebody wasn't like this in the beginning. But again, all of us have our best foot forward in the beginning. And this is something that I don't actually recommend, having your best foot forward in the beginning. I recommend having an authentic and truthful foot forward that's rooted in self-awareness. Like, I've been going back and forth with this one client, Scorpio. She's a lot, her energy's a lot. And I was like, but you get to love that about yourself. Like, be a lot, and be a lot for the people who aren't right for you. Because if you end up in a relationship with somebody who you are making yourself smaller for, you're shutting yourself down, and it goes wrong, you're going to continue to loop in the blaming yourself for being too much, or you let that part of you slip. Let it slip earlier on. If this is who you are, show people that. See if they can handle it. And some people won't. Most people won't. Great. Then that means we've weeded people out faster, instead of wasting 6 months to a year to 2 years to 10 years with somebody who couldn't receive you for all that you are. So when we heal our fear of intimacy, and we allow ourselves to have and experience intimacy first and foremost with ourselves, and then have that vulnerability, have that willingness to connect truly in the beginning, we're going to have such better results long term in dating. But my gosh, the way that people are avoiding intimacy right now while still having sex is crazy to me. The third thing I've written here is sharpen your skills to truly understand and connect without the other person having to be the one. And I put a little caveat. Too many people are dedicated to misunderstanding each other and not truly listening to just feel heard. It's this. And I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but it's worth the double down. So many people are so dedicated to misunderstanding other people just to make themselves right. And I think about this a lot in the villain and victim tropes. Man, the way that people love to make themselves a victim right now, which is why we have such a strong red pill manosphere culture, is because, and I've been listening to interviews of guys who have come out of the manosphere red pill culture, and they're like, being the victim to my own life and to women was seductive. It felt a lot better than me having to take accountability for my shortcomings. And I'm all here for it. Like, this is part of why I've become so successful relatively quickly in the last 5-6 years, right? But really in the last 3.5 years, my business has taken off. My love life has taken off. I live in the most gorgeous home in the most gorgeous place. I'm looking at these trees outside my bedroom window right now, and they're like, oh, so beautiful, with the kindest man in the world, with 4.11 carats on my finger, wrapped in white gold and little tiny diamonds around the band. And we don't fight, and we love each other, and we're so supportive of each other, and he is getting more successful and I'm getting more successful, and he supports me in his way and I support him in my way, and we are not devoted to misunderstanding each other and running away. I felt those things in the beginning because I've been heartbroken, I've been in pain, I've struggled, I've had everything that everyone else has too, but I was so devoted to becoming the woman that I wanted to be in the world, that learning about my shortcomings, learning about where I don't communicate well, learning about where I'm not my best self became like the sexiest thing in the world to me, because that meant that these were things that I could either double down on and learn how to love fully, because this is who I am and no one can bring that to me and go, well, you're this. Bitch, I know. I'm aware, right? The self-awareness piece of that. Or I could fine tune it up, turn the volume down on certain behaviors, turn the volume up on certain behaviors, and be the best version of myself. Like, that became my everything, becoming my own dream woman, not for a man, but so that I know I'm existing in my favorite, most fun, and most full version of me when I am calling in my husband, because I wanted to be and got to be fully loved as all of myself, as my favorite version of me, right? Like not the version of me where I'm like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll fix my car later. I'll fix my closet later. I'm putting all these things off, but later. I'll pay my taxes later. I'll get off the couch and, go to dance class later. Like I was like, no, I get to go be this version of me now so that when I'm attracting people, I'm really, really full in this. And I think that's part of why my life has gotten so much better. But I'm not dedicated and devoted to misunderstanding other people so that I can be right. I am dedicated and devoted to understanding how other people might be different than me and how I get to learn and how I get to educate myself. I think Catherine, my astrologer, she says it's my Gemini Mars. My Mars is in Gemini, and also my IC is in Gemini, and she's like, you just love to learn. You just love to learn. And it is an innate part of me. But there's a part of me in the past that was more dedicated to me having to be right and other people understanding me, that I wasn't as good at connecting with others. And just to circle back really quick on the victim villain consciousness thing, I mean, everybody wants to be a victim. Everybody wants to talk about how their ex was a piece of shit. Everyone wants to talk about the abuse they've been through, or the heartbreak they've been through, or women are so bad, or men are so bad. And it's pretty uninspiring, especially if you want like a higher level of relationship and a higher level of life. Like I said, I'm so committed to and devoted to this, my favorite version of me and my favorite version of my life. I'm willing to take personal accountability, and I'm not inspired by victim behavior. I'm not inspired when someone's like, oh, but they did this to me and they did this to me. Like, without looking at yourself and without looking at where maybe you played a role in their behavior, and maybe you didn't make them feel safe to be full, to be real, to be authentic, like that's part of the cleanup. That's part of how you become an extraordinary person and a safe person to be in relationship with. And then the fourth thing I put here is you must heal your relationship with the other sex, even if you're in a same-sex dynamic. Hating the other sex while looking for good results in love never work. Obviously, I typically work with more heteronormative relationships. From time to time, I will work with gay relationships, lesbian relationships, and I'll work with them as a team, as a couple. And I love it because for some reason, at least the couples I've worked with, maybe it's because they come in and it's personal development coded. My sister spent the majority of her life as a lesbian woman. Now she's more interested in men, but she's so confused by this because she's like, no, like being with women was so emotional and so all these things, like she didn't have as good of an experience with it. But the women that come to me who are in relationship with other women are like so fabulous at getting, like these women get results in 6 weeks. Like this is not we got to do this again. They're like devoted and dedicated to the emotions of each other, understanding each other. It's really, really beautiful. I digress. Hating the other sex while looking for good results in love will never work. I can't tell you how many men will like initiate a date with a woman, and then as soon as she isn't exactly what he thought she should have been by date one, he's already sending her mean, awful, crazy texts, right? Or when women are getting ready to go on a date with a man and they didn't perform the way that they thought they should, or set up the date or provide the way that they thought, they're already going off on him and telling him why he's inadequate. Like, yo, that's someone you don't know. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Right. So we have to heal our relationship. Women, you have to heal your relationship with men in the masculine if you want good results from men in the masculine, or from love in general. You have to, because also you have an inner masculine, right? And you have, masculine people around you in your life. Masculine energy it's providership, it's solid, it's strength, it's so many beautiful things that if you're shunning it away, you're not going to have that good of results in your life with masculine energy in general, which could also mean money. Right? And taking care of yourself, or you're burnt out, or you don't feel good, or you're resentful that someone didn't come do it for you because you're so stuck in your masculine. And men, you have to heal your relationship with women. This hatred thing towards women, where you're like, women are little children, they're a liability, they just take and take and take, they only want rich men. This is simply not true. And stop dating women who are like that, because they exist. The same way that awful men exist, awful women exist. We are not... it isn't one or the other. It's so funny when people when I watch dating shows and they're like, I've just been really hurt in the past and I just don't want to be hurt again. Like, We all have been. We all have been hurt again. And it's our job to reopen and to trust ourselves enough to choose healthier partners. Don't even get me started on Love is Blind Denver. Like, I got through maybe 2 episodes and I have tapped out. I've seen things online. I literally can't. Like, I cannot, because these dating shows are such a reflection of the most basic side, the most unhealed side of our dating culture right now, that is filled with therapy language, and it's unprocessed and it's not embodied, even though they think that they know it. And I'm so ready to see something different. Anyways, so these are the 4 ways that if you just tune these up right now, you will start to see better results in dating and in your love life in general. And if you would like to go so much deeper into this topic, the Muse Mastermind, which is my signature dating and love program, feminine energy program, we're doing it again this year. I wasn't going to initially, and I had so many people reaching out to me like, when is the Muse coming back? When is the Muse coming back? And January just didn't seem like soon enough. So I'm starting to restructure some things in my business, because the Muse Mastermind is my favorite program. The most incredible results, the best results in my entire business come out of my signature program. This is where you get so much training, so much healing, so many lessons, so much coaching. You get time with me, you get time by yourself, and they're bi-weekly calls because it's really designed for the busy woman. And it is just the most incredible program. Women are getting engaged and married out of that program left and right this year. Women are falling deeper in love with themselves and their life experience. They're receiving so much more from men and the masculine and from the universe in general. And I'm just so proud of this program. It is coming back. Doors are open now. Doors are open today on October 24th. And the doors will be open until we start, which will be the week of November 19th. I haven't picked an exact day yet. I typically pick the day when I have the bulk of the women in, and spots are limited. So I will go ahead and drop that link below. Definitely go click on it. Definitely go read up on it, read the testimonials, and book a call with me. Let's chat about how we can get you incredible results before 2025 is over. I cannot wait to chat with you, and I'll see you soon.